Hey guys, welcome to another interview on this channel. Today I have my friend Andy Price from the UK. He's a long-time marketer, and today he's going to share his story, and then I'm going to ask him some questions. He's also the CCO of S.media, YouTube media planning, targeting and buying agency, leading agency in the UK. So I'm really excited to have you here, Andy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Pleasure to be here, Vince. Good to see you again.
Awesome. So let's just start. Maybe if you want to do an intro for those of you that don't know you yet, maybe they have not seen you yet. So yeah, bit of background.
Okay, so I'm a trained art director, which means I worked in advertising industry, advertising agencies. I've been doing it nearly 30 years now. So I started out long before Vince was even here, probably. I was involved in developing ideas for press ads, newspaper ads, TV, radio, posters, all the old kind of media stuff. As the agency landscape kind of changed, it became what was known as full service. So it wasn't just above the line, but we did then direct mail below the line. Got involved in a lot of other sort of like brand design as well. And I spent 30 years doing it. So I've worked across a lot of B2C, B2B, some very small clients, some very, very large international, national brands such as Jet2, DFS. I've worked on Adidas, Barclaycard, all kinds of stuff all around the world. And sort of more latterly, the last 15, I've been creative director of some of the big northern agencies in the UK, sort of been responsible for the creative output, ensuring that the brand story is consistent, that the right kind of message is going out to the right people. And it's been an interesting career. More latterly, I got involved, I merged with a digital business who specialised in SEO and PPC because it was one of my gaps. And that's where I met Simon Young, who's my business partner. Simon and I are like chalk and cheese. He's Neo from the Matrix, kind of in the back end of everything with his team. And, I've learned a lot this last few years working with Simon, but we kind of brought together the data, the insight side of the tech side with my sort of background in the emotional empathy, creative building, and it's worked really, really well. And now we specialise, as Vince has said, in YouTube media buying and targeting ads. So yeah, that's a bit of my background. I've done loads over the years. It's just been a fascinating career so far.
Amazing. Yeah. So obviously, you have great experience with this. And what do you think is the key in marketing from your perspective, whether it's like a physical business, traditional online business? For sure there are some things in common. What do you think?
Yeah, it's I studied my trade at a place called Stockport College, and I was taught by a guy called Charlie Laycock, who was one of the best people in teaching advertising at that point in the UK. He was very, very highly respected, and he was taught by some even better people. And one of the things that's often talked about, and I get a little bit angry about this, I see a lot of people coming into the marketplace going, "Who newfangled things?" And they talk about what I would call basics of marketing, common sense in business, as if it's new and kind of zany. And I'm thinking it's always been the case. And one of those biggest things, and I was always taught this at a really young age, and I've taught it in colleges as well when I've done lecturing, is put yourself in your customer's shoes at the start, during, and at the end of the process, and ongoing. And what I mean by that is it's very easy. I think the marketing industry, there's lots of acronyms, there's lots of bullshit, if I dare say that, and it's often not very grounded. And what happens, the strategies, the creative execution, regardless of channel, whether that's YouTube or radio or TV, whatever it is, the end result tends to be there to please the client or their own ego, and there to please the board and the financial directors and all those things. And a lot of it fundamentally misses is what the consumer needs, whether that's B2B or B2C, the end person buying the product. So it's often overlooked, or it's surface skimmed. Oh, we think we know the customer, and they create some ads, and generally there's not a great deal of engagement. Then the creativity sucks, the empathy sucks, everything just sucks because it's not really resonating with that person who's meant to be buying that product or service. So I used to give examples in college about putting yourself in the shoes of the customers. Let's say, for example, you're targeting a healthcare product to 75-year-old people. Okay, I'm not 75.
Almost.
I'm a lot older. Hey, I'm a lot older than you, though, Vince. Now, let's say I'm targeting a 75-year-old lady with a healthcare product. Now, yeah, you'll know your customers and you know this and all those things, but do you really know what it's like to be that lady who's got dodgy knees? No. So I say, well, what's her life like? What are her family like? What are circumstances like? And there's a lot of tools in the marketing world that help you do this, but actually some of it is just about empathy and understanding. What does she listen to? Where does she shop? How does she run a day? What are her days like? Does she listen to The Archers, which is a very classic radio show? Does she read a certain newspaper? Does she read a certain book? Now, what happens is they'll go, yeah, she does this, so that means she's like this. But actually, I always encourage people, well, if she listens to that radio show and she reads that newspaper and she watches those programs, perhaps as marketeers, we should also listen to them and read them and understand what it's like to be her a little bit more. Because by building that empathy and that understanding, short-term gains are great, selling a product, but actually long-term, her telling her friend, her encouraging her family, her having some long-term brand value with your business is actually far more profitable for lifetime value if you've got somebody who you understand who loves what you do. And you can only build those relationships with your customers if you've got understanding and empathy. So if you don't really put yourself in their shoes in every respect, how can you possibly create ads that are going to resonate with them? And sorry if I've gone on there a little bit, but for me, it's one of the most fundamental things. So as a creative person, I was always taught to spend just as much time thinking about what it was like to be Ethel or Vince or whoever, to really understand what's going to float their boat when I write an idea, a piece of creative. Because without that, I'm just assuming. An assumption is the mother of all, well, it's a nightmare, because you're writing ideas that are just second guess.
Yeah, love this. And I was actually going to ask you, that's probably the answer now. I was going to ask, what's the biggest mistake you see advertisers make? So is it this one, that they don't understand properly their customers, they just assume? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a dovetail here. So we've all, some of the people listening, I don't know, we've heard of USPs, unique selling propositions. So the everlasting light bulb. Now, to be honest, it doesn't really exist. So something was created years ago when it was a famous Levi's ad in the laundrette by BBH, the agency. And it's when he got undressed and down to his pants and put the stuff in the laundrette machines. And it was called an emotional selling proposition, an ESP. So it's based around the emotions of the product or the service or that kind of thing. So they really understood, they tapped into a psyche of what people were looking for, young men and young women, and it tapped into the emotions rather than a practical uniqueness. So a lot of really great advertising was born out of looking at things from an emotional perspective. What we've currently got, we've got this weird world where we talk about value propositions and all these things. Now, I talk about this a lot. Value propositions are okay, but it's based on a more transactional attitude. Now, emotional selling propositions are okay again, but they can be quite outward, second guessing. And I try and deal with another ESP now called an empathy selling proposition, which goes back to what I've just said about understanding the customer in the first place. If I understand the customer and I understand what their life is like, and I understand what their challenges are and what their needs are and what their desires are and what their fears are, I'm better placed to have empathy and understanding. And if I have empathy and understanding, I'm in a better place to write communications and place ads that have got hopefully more chance of connecting with them. So going back to the first point about people not understanding the customer, the biggest mistake born out of that is not having the understanding or the empathy. Because again, creative departments around the world in agencies and strategists and planners, there's a lot of convoluted nonsense and speak goes on rather than the very basics. If I understand my customer and I understand the problems, I've got empathy, I can write a really good ad. We don't need to wrap it up in fancy acronyms. We don't need to over strategize it. We just need to write something that means something and wrap your arm around the consumer. So emotions and empathy for me are the single biggest drivers. You can tell me all, I've worked on a lot of retail accounts. The sofa might be half price, but it's still just a sofa. The reason I buy a sofa is because I want to flop back on it at the end of a day after a hard day's work. It's understanding my emotions and my empathies and my whys. And actually, if I think the sofa's goddamn ugly, I ain't going to buy it anyway. So, it can get very complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It's just understand what my needs are and talk to me like I'm a person. And then you've got my attention. And it is so often missed.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Like, I know, like, so many people, especially, I'm more in the online world, never be really like in the offline, but I can see so many advertisers, they just try some ads, stick some ads online, try and hope it works, hope they work, but they don't really understand the customers. And I can see the ones that actually spend time understanding their customers and studying their customers, they're the ones that actually have the most success. So
I think it has a huge impact as well, Vince, because I think what it does, the businesses that understand this, they then, when I talked at the start about, the before, the during, the end and the after, if you think about that whole customer journey, it doesn't start or end with just an ad, wherever that ad may be. It's actually intrinsically about the whole experience somebody has with your business. So, even if you're a cake shop, the way you look and feel, the quality of the cakes, the after service, the way you smile to people, they come back again, you smile again. And I think there's a lot of brands in the UK who are very, very guilty of, they've got your money and then they run. And insurance companies are a great one, car insurance companies. Why they do it, I do not understand. But basically, at the end of every year, they oik your premiums up and they will not help you on the phone. And it's only when you threaten to leave that they then give you the premium for less. Why are they peeing me off as a client? So the whole experience is not a very good one. They're not understanding and having empathy with me as a customer. If I've been loyal to you, why are you not being loyal back? So it's not just about an ad. This is about actually intrinsically how companies operate and putting customers at the center of everything that they do, rather than just as a way to make money, which is a culturally different approach.
Absolutely. And then I mentioned at the beginning, and also in your story, of course, that you're the CCO of, together with Simon Young, of S.media, YouTube agency. And obviously, you focused on advertising through videos, because we know YouTube, that's the main way on YouTube. So why do you think businesses, brands, whether they are online, offline, they need to use videos to promote their products, their services? Why videos?
Right, I think there's a lot of reasons why, to be honest. I think the nature of how people consume media has changed. I think the fact that people are on these so much more, you've got 4G, 5G, you can watch Netflix on it, you can watch YouTube videos on it. People are consuming media in a very, very different way. There's been lots written over the years about the death of long copy, as in long copy adverts in newspapers. And I used to kind of go against that, because I used to love doing those kind of ads. But actually, we are quite lazy as a society, and we like quick visual fixes. So to understand the consumers again, we do consume in a different way. We live in different worlds now compared to 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. And I think the great thing with video is it allows you to tell a story in different ways. It allows you to portray a personality. A picture paints 1,000 words to say, well, a video paints even more. And it allows you to get across your personality. It allows you to build empathy. It allows you to communicate so much more than you can in a little press ad that big, or even a big press ad, or a big poster, or even a 30-second TV commercial. Video, particularly on YouTube, it's endless. You can really engage and involve the audience in a whole new way. So I think, videos, I think it's here to stay. I think it's been on the rise for a few years now. I think a lot of people have embraced it, but I think there's a whole lot more that still need to take it on board for the benefits that it can bring to the business.
Yeah. And for me as well, when I started using more videos, even not only for ads, but just free content out there, whether it's Facebook Live or a YouTube video or even like on LinkedIn, wherever, like you connect much faster with your customers, and then it's much easier to sell, or you will see that your conversions actually increase just because they feel they know you somehow.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's you can only do so much with words and pictures, and I think video, you have to work much harder to get a personality across. Where if somebody can see, somebody could be watching this video of me now and think, oh God, don't like him, and that's fine. But somebody might see it and think, oh, actually, he's talking some sense. And I think when I first met you, Vince, and I think we jumped on a call on WhatsApp and we were talking, and instantly I warmed to you because I could see your personality. I could see who you were. And I think that is the power of video. It just allows to really get across personality much quicker than any other media form at the moment. And it works really well.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe like people watching now, they are wondering, okay, I have this type of business, I have like an offline business or a small business. Like, what type of business do you think should use YouTube ads? Is it for everyone? Small businesses, medium ones, big corporations?
I think it's for anybody, personally. I think there's different scales and different approaches. So we're working with a big global healthcare brand at the moment, and it's an entire YouTube first digital universe that we're creating. And there's loads of YouTube ads, there's loads of ranking of videos, there's remarketing via Facebook, and lots and lots. It's a big scope of work. So yes, the budget there in terms of media spend is significant because it needs to be to reach all the audience that they want. Equally, anecdotally, my wife is a potter. She's always been a potter, and she creates her own little videos and posts them out there in a different way. But the power of those videos to tell the story is just as relevant and powerful for a small potter as it is a global healthcare brand. So I would say anybody can harness the power of YouTube, but what you have to do is be clear about what your objectives are, what your strategy is, what you're trying to say, what do you want the outcome to be, who you're targeting, what do you want them to feel about it, what's the benefit to them, the value to them, the emotional connection for them. So you've got to take on board all those things. But it's like any piece of communication, whether you're doing a poster, a radio ad, an interview, whatever. If it's about connecting with your audience, then fundamentally YouTube and video is absolutely brilliant for connecting with your audience. It's just these different scales of how far you go depending on what budgets you've got. But yeah, for me, it's any size business, any type of business. And again, anecdotally, we've done a lot for B2B clients recently, and I've been sat in board meetings where clients have gone, well, our customer base is not on YouTube. And we go, yes, they are. And I actually got backed up by one of the board directors who went, yeah, I'm nearly 60 and I go on YouTube every day. And because it's a search engine and because it's used in lots of different ways, people are there. So again, you just got to go back to what your objectives are and how you want to use video, but everybody can use it. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and then I've got another question. It wasn't really planned, but maybe people watching now, they have a business, they already allocated some budget on advertising, whether it's Facebook or other type of media. Like, how much of the media budget, the advertising budget they are currently using, you think they should throw on YouTube? They should slowly try on YouTube. Like, what do you think?
I'm going to say it's how long's a piece of string. I think it depends on the client, it depends on the customer base and the market. But I would be saying to anybody who's on Facebook, and particularly at the moment, some of the problems a lot of our clients are facing on Facebook, whether that be a small local potter or a global brand, people are having so many problems at the moment with Facebook. For me, and I'm bound to say this, but I genuinely mean it, we've got proof of this with clients, is that the spend is far, far more effective on YouTube, probably more than any other medium at the moment, particularly digital mediums and offline stuff. It's really great bang for your bucks. So I would say if you're spending a couple of $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month on Facebook, I would say whip half of it over to YouTube, because I think you get a much better result for your money. And then the thing is, you can scale much more easily with Facebook as well. There's so much, the targeting's much better, the scaling so much better. You'll know what you get back. It's just much more workable as a media channel. And I'd encourage anybody who's got a budget to I have no doubt many will be getting frustrated or will start to get frustrated with some other channels. Put half of that budget into YouTube and see where you go. And I would say most of them will switch the whole budget eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I already made the switch. I was a Facebook ads guy before, started in 2016, but I've been banned like several times just out of the blue, no reason, after paying hundreds of thousands. So yeah,
we've currently got a client who's having a nightmare because they've been kicked out of Facebook, and it's just, and I think you know who that is. It's just so problematic. And I mean, I've been in the industry a long time, and I've worked across so many different channels, and I never go to a client now, even though we're a YouTube agency. I will actually often say to clients, we will work with your other partners who are in other media streams, because the reality is you need a little bit of all sorts sometimes. You might even need traditional direct mail coming through your door.
Yeah.
Everything's got merits. It's a question of, going back to the start, understanding your customers. And you need to be where your customers are at. And fundamentally, where customers are at is changing. I read a stat this morning, sorry, as an aside. I didn't realize more people watch YouTube on a connected TV now than they do Netflix.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in the States, that is. And so the trends are shifting. So, sorry, I end up getting lost here if I'm not careful. But it's definitely worth trialing budget on YouTube, definitely. If you're spending a couple of $1,000s a month, I would say, without a doubt, go test it and you will be amazed.
Yeah, and you already mentioned again, like understanding your customers. So how do YouTube ads help achieve that in marketing?
Well, I think one of the interesting things, we've had quite a lot of conversations with clients, and I think there's different levels of understanding. I think if you're working with owner operators, well, it can go two ways. They might have a really good understanding of who the customer base is. They probably will do, but they might not have a good understanding of YouTube. Equally, we've been working with a guy who's been an ex-global marketing director of one of the world's biggest healthcare brands, and he's got a really good broad understanding, but he doesn't understand YouTube per se. And yet some people do. Now, just to be really clear here, people's perception of YouTube, I think, is a bit misplaced, particularly for marketing, because a bit like people will go cats on Facebook, they'll go YouTube, it's just a few music videos and things. Because it's owned by Google, it's the second biggest search engine in the world. So a lot of people are searching for how to do things and find things out and learn things. Yes, it's used for entertainment. Yes, it's used for video. Yes, it's used for music. But it's actually a search engine. Now, one of the things that comes out of it, because it's owned by Google, the data that comes out of running, say, a trial campaign for a couple of months is phenomenal. You can see what the retention rates have been like on your video. You've got a good idea of who the audience is because they're tagged in so much better. You know who's fallen off what page of your website, and all that information that you gather actually starts to paint, I would say, a better picture of understanding your customers than perhaps you had before. And again, we've had several conversations with brands where they're going, well, we know our customers, we think it's this, but actually we've realized if we run YouTube, we're going to understand a different layer of information now that we didn't have before. And I actually had a media buyer who bought traditional TV and also traditional media like door drops and posters and bus shelters, who said on that meeting, wow, you can supply me with information I can't get from big insight companies out the back of this. I went, yeah, if in 3 months' time, the client runs with this campaign, you will know more about your customers than you've probably ever known before. And they were like, wow, we need to do this because we don't have that level of granular information. So, but a note of caution, it is like the Matrix in the back end. So somebody like Simon knows how to read some of that with the rest of the team. I think, it's a bit like running your own Facebook ads. You can have a certain amount of success, but in order to do it really well, you've really got to ramp up your knowledge and learnings or employ agencies to help you understand it. But yeah, you learn so much about your customers out of running YouTube campaigns. It is really, really, really good. Really good.
Cool. And obviously people now maybe think, okay, if I want to reach out to you or want to know more about what you do, S.media, and maybe they want some help, like what's the best place to contact you, to reach out to you, and what to do?
They can. My email address is andy@s.media. S.media is the domain name. They can visit the website. You'll find us on YouTube. Obviously, you can search us on YouTube. You can find us on the web. Ping an email to me. Contact Vince. And we're happy to give a bit of free advice to people as well. Simon will often have a chat with somebody. I will just to help them out and give a bit of value back and point them in the right direction. We are a media buyer first and foremost, so we do the planning and the strategy. So if somebody comes to us and they go, they've got 100 quid, it's not really what we don't take that kind of stuff on, but we will offer advice to people. And we have got the Facebook group that isn't S.media, it's just a mastery one, which you're aware of, Vince, where people can pick up tips and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we're always willing to share knowledge and help people out where we can. So just have a look at any of those, and yeah, if they need help, of course.
Absolutely. I'll put all the links in the description, and obviously, guys, if you have any questions, let us know and make sure Andy see the messages and replies. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. I'm sure people loved it, and looking forward to seeing you soon in person somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere warm, hopefully.
Yeah, in Spain, maybe at your house in Spain, or at some castles, maybe. I know you like castles, so.
Yeah, preferably warmer ones.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. Appreciate it. Have a nice day.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Cheers, Vince. Take care. Bye.